Hello friend, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you are already a member. I'm so glad to see you back. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 things I've learned from keeping bettas for over 10 years. That's right, I've been a betta fish keeper for quite a while, and I have a whole lot that I learned, but I've taken 5 of the most important things today so that you don't have to spend all your time figuring this out and you can start ahead. Let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Tip number 1, give yourself some grace and some space to learn. For crying out loud, I understand. I'm a type A person. I love to get everything right the first time, but I think it's very important that you start somewhere. If you don't start, you can't get better at anything, and this applies for fish keeping. If you started with a smaller tank and then you learned better, then you just size up. It's okay to start where you did. So if you've been a betta keeper for a while and you've sized up and you've changed and you've grown, don't despise your small beginnings. A lot of people, especially people on social media, can look at old things that you did in the past, or they can comment on something you do and tell you that it's not good, it's not healthy for your betta, and that may be true, but what a lot of people don't understand is that you have to start somewhere. And to be quite honest, I think most of the people who leave hateful comments like that have never kept a betta a day in their life. They don't know what it's like, just like in any area. They don't know what it's like to learn and grow, and they don't know what the learning process is even like, because they've likely never even applied themselves to anything. So give yourself some grace and space to learn. It's okay. Don't hate on yourself if you did something that wasn't great for your betta just because you didn't know. That's the whole fact. You didn't know, but now that you know, just improve and move on. Tip number 2, there's no shame in starting small. As I mentioned just a second ago, if you had a smaller tank and you have come so far since then, don't despise that. It's okay if you started with a small tank. A lot of people don't know the pet industry really isn't going around and saying, hey, bettas do best in 5-gallon tanks and up. Like 5 gallons really should be the minimum for a betta. No, what do? They give you 2 to 3 aisles of betta bowls and tanks around half a gallon to 3 gallons. That's what they give you. And so obviously if you're walking in to get you a betta, you're gonna go and you're gonna buy the supplies from them, and the majority of the things that I have for sale, they're just not acceptable for bettas. Now I will give them some grace and say that I do believe they're doing better. They're carrying larger tanks now than they used to, but still betta bowls are available for sale. So a lot of people, they just grab what they see, especially if they're buying as a present, maybe for a kid. They don't think that there's a huge level of commitment with the betta fish and that there's a lot to learn up front. So if you were like that, if you had a small tank, or if you have a small tank, well, now's this time to size up. So don't despise small beginnings. It's okay, and we all have to learn somewhere. Tip number 3, check those fish food ingredients. Oh my word, I used to think that I could buy any one of the hundreds of bottles on the aisle, and that actually led to several deaths. The death of a snail, some live plant casualties, and a betta that did not look very great. I'm gonna be honest, not every fish food out there should be consumed by a fish. It's kind of like with the dog food. If you have a dog and you're familiar with a lot of the dog food out there, there are a lot of people who just take kind of the refuse of human food, the burned, the stuff that's known to cause cancer, all that, and they just grind it up and then they just give it to a dog. Not everything marketed for a fish, ironically, not everything marketed for a fish should be given to a fish. It's crazy that it's like that, but it is. So don't just buy anything off the shelf. Take a look at the ingredients. The biggest thing you need to avoid that I know of right now is copper. One time I kind of deviated from my typical food that I bought. I got one that had copper in it. It killed my snail, my live plants. It was a nightmare. So check the food ingredients. But I'll tell you the best way to just avoid all that is just to buy natural food, something your betta would actually eat in the wild. Even the better fish flakes and pellets have things like red number 2, blue dye, coloring, wheat, fish oil, corn. This is just kind of how my mind works. I was thinking of a betta and where they would be in their natural habitat. Just could not see them hunting for red dye, corn. I couldn't see them looking at another betta and saying, hey, you got a slice of bread? You got me like a Sister Schubert's dinner roll? No, I don't. Bettas in the wild aren't going to eat any of that. So what you can do is go to your pet store freezer section. They should have some frozen Betta food. Typically they have the Omega brand, and it's just frozen worms and shrimp, things like that in a cube. You can thaw it and feed it to your fish. That is the most natural and basic. If you want to just get back to the roots, get back to your Betta's natural diet, that's as close as you can get, honestly, right there. And that's what I've been doing for my Bettas for the past 2 years, and they have been very happy and very healthy. Tip number 4, buy live plants, not fake ones. You may not have a green thumb. Your thumb may be a shade of brown. I get it. I was never super great with plants in the first place, but there are some beginner plants that really are just very hard to kill, very basic ones. You can start with like Anubis, Java Fern. Those two are the most basic ones that everybody recommends. Even a moss ball is pretty great. But just start with live plants. Even if you feel like you shouldn't, you have to start somewhere. Live plants are always better than fake plants. They're not going to leach chemicals or dyes into the water. They're not going to be so sharp that they cut your Betta's fins. They help to filter the water. I mean, there's just so many benefits with live plants that it just seems crazy not to start. And even if you have some fake plants right now, you can start phasing them out. Remove 1 or 2, buy some live plants, get it in there. I have other videos up on my channel about live plants in the tank, different things. Just make sure you get a good fertilizer for the plants, preferably a liquid fertilizer. If you're starting with plants like Java Fern and Anubis, you can get a really good one from Aquarium Co-op. Easy Green, it's a good liquid fertilizer. You can get that and your plants should do just fine. It's very beginner friendly if you ask me. Tip number 5, get you a sponge filter instead of an internal filter or a hang-on back filter. I've had internal and hang-on back filters for so long, and there's nothing inherently wrong about them. Sponge filters are just fantastic. They're a great medium for a colony of beneficial bacteria to just kind of live in. They're way more quiet. I mean, really, they're way more quiet. Hang-on back filters are known to be kind of loud. If you want one that's really quiet, get you a sponge filter. They're very easy to set up. I mean, the list goes on, but probably one of the most important things that they do for you is help to keep your Betta's fins safe. A lot of other filters, the water intake, if you don't watch, your Betta will lean against it, sucks up their fins, damages their fins. It's a whole thing. So get you a sponge filter. It's easy. It's an easy setup. I have a video that I made a while back on sponge filters on my tank, so feel free to go check that out as well. And there are the 5 tips, my 5 top things that I learned in 10 plus years of being a Betta keeper. If this video made you think of anything else, if there are any tips or tricks that you've learned, especially in keeping a Betta that weren't addressed in this video, go ahead and list them out in the comments. That will just help others who go to the comments to keep on gaining some amazing insight and amazing knowledge to help keep their Betta fish friend healthy and thriving. Before you go, check this video description. It has a link to my free Facebook group for Betta fish keepers. It also has a link to a free guide that I have out right now. That being said, you go on and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing, stick around, join the Betta fish family, and if you do, let me know in the comments so I can welcome you personally. All right, that is all, friend. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.